CloudDB, shaping your new normal.
Welcome everyone to the 2021 APEC Groundbreakers Virtual Tour by Abaco Ucci. This year, our event will be the biggest one ever done with 144 sessions, including normal sessions, workshops, and hands-on labs from 100 different speakers over 17 days. Also, we'll cover sessions in 4 different languages. Please remember to register to as many sessions as you can. I would like to say thanks to our Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, Oracle Groundbreakers, and our main sponsor, CloudDB. Now for today's session, create a minimal viable product with Oracle, getting on the journey with Oracle AI ML-based platform by Franco Ucci. Please feel free to write questions at any time by using the chat window on the right lower corner of your screen, and Franco will be answering all your questions by the end of the session. If you have any issues during the streaming, please let me know by using the same chat window, and I will try to help you the best I can. Now, without more delays, I would like to leave you with this amazing session by Franco Ucci. Franco, I'm just opening your mic and give you the control. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. Thank you for that very warm welcome. So I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about how to MVP with Oracle, how to get the Oracle platform working for you. And the idea is what's possible, fast learning and building, being able to MVP with a safe fast fail approach, be able to learn and validate what your ideas are, and effectively encourage lots of parallel learning and sharing. But at the end of the day, please be aware it does require a lot of hard work with elements of fun and creativity. I'm going to spend 30 minutes to go through that, and then if you have any questions, happy to talk through that. So when we're talking about MVP, it's usually because there's somebody who's got some sort of business outcome that they're trying to achieve. And more than likely, there's someone who's got some sort of technology capability that they're trying to validate or test. That normally falls into one of those 3 layers. And the key thing is, how do you find out about that new app idea, which may be a new app for customer service? It may be hardwiring an app to get some sort of fast through capability, or maybe it's a new mobile app that simplifies what you do for an organization with things like blockchain or workflow now supporting the business. And at the same time, at the back end, at the technology layer, we may have some buzzwords like JSON or microservices or blockchain or machine learning or APIs that we're trying to actually learn about or take it to the next level. So before you start this journey, actually have a think about what you're trying to achieve. And as you can see here, I'm looking at this with 2 y-axes, outcome value being y1 and technology capability being y2. And as you can see, my y1 axis is a lot more bolder, a lot broader than the tech one. It's just a little reminder, it's the business that pays the bills. So we need to make sure we don't just go down a technology path. And the x-axis is about appreciating what sort of complexity and where should the complexity lie. So when you're thinking about that and what it means, you start to think straight away, how do I achieve what I'm doing on the outcome axis? And let's make sure we've got the tech Y2 axis working for Y1. And also make sure we stay away from lots of complexity. I'm not saying don't do complexity. What I'm saying is stay away from the complexity at a low level. Make sure you use it such that you can take advantage of things like AI, ML, automation capability. And make sure things like security, scalability, and resilience are not afterthoughts. So the technology components you're going to choose as part of your MVP journey, you want to make sure these things are taken into consideration. And when you start your MVP journey, I tend to think about it in a number of broad iterations. One is how quickly can I go through a quick hello world deployment? How quickly, once I can trust my hello world deployment works, how can I add more functionality and capability to what I'm doing over and over again? And then as I'm doing that, what sort of skills or technology learning do I need, or do I need to pick up or adopt as part of this? And then how do I workshop, evaluate, and share this with a broader audience to make this more modus operandi and something that's like a walk in the park? So when you're looking at those 4 stages and you're thinking about the cool different technologies that are out there, it's important not just to throw them in and say, oh yeah, we'll work it out. It's actually important to actually think about what actually lends itself for fast, quick deployment. And then what lends itself to add functionality slowly to it so you can do your quick deployments. And then what do you need to do the broader rollout? And then how do you start to get people involved and workshop this? So you can actually see I'm looking at a variety of technologies like autonomous database, Apex, JSON, that you could interact with and turn things around fairly quickly. And I'm suggesting things like Node.js would work with things like Apex, ATP, etc. And in terms of the functionality, I'm suggesting things like IoT and data science can come in at this level. And the same with things like Kubernetes, integration, etc. And so the point I'm making is be aware where the technologies fit and the role they actually play with respect to what we're talking about here. This picture, it's one of those pictures I suggest you can draw many times with the 2 or 3 people you're likely to be working with and just socialize some of the challenges and the issues. So it's one thing for me to talk about this in theory. Let's have a chat about where we've been able to practice some of these concepts for real. I've got 2 examples here. One is a major bank where the major bank was really struggling with how do they get their PeopleSoft application able to integrate with their new online procurement application. How were they going to do that? And they had had 3 attempts with a variety of architecture choices over a 2.5-year period. We were fortunate to be brought in and looking at that problem and actually saying, how would we do it? How would we understand what was possible from an Oracle capability where we're maximizing our AI, ML components? So some of the things which we wanted to show is how we could validate the idea very fast, how we could use application connectors, how we could use continuous integration, continuous deployment, how we could actually use plug and play APIs, be able to use automated testing and cloud integration. So the first step we actually picked was we mimicked the 2 applications with Apex. We also mimicked the actual integration between those capabilities. And we actually showed the major bank we're showing them, is this the idea that you're trying to go through as a destination? From there, we then replaced one of the mimicked applications with a real PeopleSoft application. We also replaced the other application with the real SaaS new application. And we continued to use the bit of ATP and Apex in the middle. And then we slowly introduced the actual cloud integration capability, and we slowly introduced the application connectors, and then we used the AI-based integration, which also managed whether the back end or any of the two apps was up or down, taking that into consideration. The next stage, we actually then worked out how would we now fit this in to the bank's existing security capability. How would they be able to get integration analytics? How could they robot deploy the deployments such that they were based on date-based deployments? And we also applied some machine learning-based automated testing through the process, just to continuously see the technology was working and the business outcomes were being achieved. So the first iteration of this, the one to actually validate, is this a good idea? Is this the destination you were looking for? We did that in 2 weeks. And then in terms of how we crept in the additional functionality and started to look at the additional technology requirements, we had another 4 major iterations over 12 weeks. In terms of all iterations, we're talking probably in the level of 30, but we had 4 major iterations over 12 weeks. So to actually do something like this as part of a major bank's transformation project, that was actually a fun and crazy task, working with a lot of people that were can-do people in the bank. Very different example of an MVP. The key technologies we used here from Oracle was obviously the autonomous database, because it was able to play a number of roles. We used Apex. We used the ability to have JSON in and out, being able to deal with that. APIs, being able to deal with that. And also cloud integration, and also our identity management products. If we move to the police agency, there was a similar initiative here where they had a future state that they were trying to achieve. And they had a number of false starts trying to create a future state. And this one here was, can we have a mobile app deployed on a smartphone that could be turned on, could be turned off, that was integrating with back-end APIs that also included blockchain and some artificial intelligence-based workflow. And the cool tech that the police agency was looking for was iterative prototyping, being able to practice DevOps, being able to have the security of that device not being compromised. So if the device got taken by somebody else, we could easily stop it from accessing the systems. Being able to use blockchain to show immutable activity, and as well as being able to plug and play different services in, given what's possible with APIs, and then use some cool tech around whether it was facial recognition or license plate recognition using some image processing capability. We followed a very similar path here once again, using Apex from a low-code perspective, ATP, JSON, and APIs. We then did a little bit more complexity here in the Node.js Express world, once again to mimic, is this what the potential future state looks like for you? From there, we then started to adding some additional functionality around API policies. Yes, that was around what happens to this device if the wrong things happen. We also had some machine learning based analytics and some blockchain. So the boxes that are in the light gray is what comes out of the box from the Oracle stack. And then we included some of the additional cool tech from the open source world using TensorFlow with Python and also with facial recognition algorithms that are out there, and also similarly with image processing. What was important for the police agency, they also wanted to practice what's possible if we could deploy some of these capabilities as microservices, which we did via Kubernetes. And we also looked at, what's possible if we could use digital assistants to simplify this, and can we use Terraform to deploy this. This exercise took around 6 weeks, was around 3 iterations, with the first iteration occurring over 2 weeks. The difference between the police agency and the major bank was the major bank was, let's actually learn and understand what our needs are as we go, and we will test the technology. Whereas the police agency had a good idea of what their functional requirements were from a destination before we started. And the technology was something that was learned about iteration by iteration. So you can see there was a little bit of subtlety in difference in the approach. So let's look at why we chose some of the technologies. What's in that technology stack and what makes it so attractive? So one of the things that makes it very attractive from an Oracle perspective is we now have this capability called the autonomous database. We no longer have to have a team of people that are totally across database administration, HA, DR, security, patching. You get that just by pointing and clicking with the autonomous database. And that is set up effectively as a SaaS service using the Exadata platform. Makes it very, very easy and the perfect companion for these MVP capabilities. And once you've got an autonomous database up and running, it's very easy to use additional technologies like Visual Builder, Apex, or Digital Assistant to be the perfect companion for that autonomous database. And once you've got data going in and out, we obviously want to look at different visual-based capabilities around your data, and that's where things like Oracle Analytics Cloud comes into play, or data science. And now we've got a lot more to offer with Oracle Analytics, also able to use a lot of our artificial intelligence services, whether it's around visual or text, etc. And while all of this is happening, it's quite easy to turn on another capability called Data Safe. And Data Safe's got a heap of algorithms in there that you can apply, even if it's just for segregation of duties, or you can actually say, hey, from a banking perspective, can we confirm when we haven't got financial information in here? Or from a healthcare, can we make sure there's no bio or health information in here? Or if it's from a student academic, we've got a bunch of algorithms to make sure none of that is in there, or personally identifiable information. So a lot of these 4 solution capabilities come with really cool AI robots that are here to help work and get the right things happening for you. Once you've got these things up and going, the next perfect companion is what we call the Oracle Integration Cloud, that comes with a heap of both technology and application connectors that make it very easy to actually get something like PeopleSoft talking to SAP Ariba or Slack or Salesforce or SQL Server. Makes it very easy. And associated with that, we've got the integration insights, and also what we've got as recommendations around the different data attributes as you're going from one application to another application. And while we're talking about a heap of Oracle tech, you would have already heard me talk about this is also the perfect place where you can experiment and start to embrace many other open source capabilities, technologies, and services. And it makes it very easy to consume and embrace these sorts of capabilities. So this is a quick view of what I call the candidate AI ML technology choices. Obviously, things like data, APIs, and personas are the key elements that give you that cadence, that velocity for you to be able to change that direction. So you can make sure the word agile is not just the word, and you can do things at speed. So if you're serious about speed, Oracle then also helps you with a couple of other capabilities. We've got this thing called the Architecture Center that gives you reference architectures, quick starts, and solution playbooks, and effectively pictures of what makes sense and how you can turn things on very, very quickly, whether it's from an architecture viewpoint, also around a data warehouse. And now the big buzzword here is around Lakehouse. And there's a number of ways you can do this, whether it's you follow the step by yourself, one by one, and play it out, whether you use the stack management capability within the Cloud Console, or whether you want to use the Terraform approach to do that. So I've just shown you the Architecture Center and also the data warehouse solution patterns. These things here probably assume you've already got some skill. If you don't have that skill, Oracle's got this capability called Oracle Live Labs, where we are able to provide that 1 to 4 hour experience of what's possible with our technology. And what's also cool around a number of these live labs, it gives you 4 different choices on how you can experience it, whether it's with your always free, whether it's with your free trial, whether it's with your own tenancy. And if the actual live lab is short enough, the Oracle Live Labs environment will give you an Oracle cloud tenancy for you to be able to use it for free for that short period of time and then return it back for broader use. So I've spoken about how to I've spoken about where the technology fits with the Oracle MVP approach. I've also spoken about some of the subtle things around it. So let's talk about the how. If you take a couple of steps back, you want to make sure that you're going to do something that's going to be reasonably successful. There's going to be a heap of learning and people are going to want to commit themselves to it. So we've already spoken about, someone's got some sort of new idea. You're thinking about, where does my tech fit? Is that the data layer, the access execution layer, or the UI layer? We've got 2 examples here of someone's ideas. We've got a couple of the tech capabilities. So how do you get started? The key thing I want to actually highlight is right from the word go, you want to have a plan for a positive experience for both the techies and the business people. You want to have activities that drive the skilling and show the outcome. Right from the word go, you want to keep that front of mind. So how do we get started? The first thing is actually just get your business people to talk about what their idea is. And you can see I've got in bold, big letters, chances are they'll have a UI in their mind. They may actually have data elements in their mind. They may have apps that they can see, or back-end, front-end apps that they can see. So just let them talk. And as they talk, you can just walk through these 10 points in a calm, relaxed manner. So if they start talking about the data elements, ask them, so how do you see the user interface? How will they interact with these apps? And as they start to talk through these things, you're going to then be able to map out some sort of storyboard from start to finish. And use questions like, if you were to wave a magic wand, how would you see this happening? If you were to wave a magic wand, what benefit would people get? And once you've done steps 1 to 4, you can then start to work through what I call the touch points. That's just a business way of saying the APIs. And then you should have enough that we've got a nice end-to-end picture so we can work through what our test plan can look like. And then we would also have an idea of, if this thing was implemented and operational, what would a vision video look like? And sometimes it's nice to actually create that cartoon narrative for them. You then have enough to really get an idea of, given this idea, when do you see this going operational, and work backwards. You notice that I did not use the word production, especially in these cloud days. The word production can mean many things. So I talk about making things operational. And we can also check in with who the key people are. Who needs to be included or engaged as part of this positive experience. And let me ask the question, if we do nothing, does it really matter? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? This what I call this stage A, can actually take of the order of 1 week, but more than likely could take 4 to 5 weeks in the organization. We then get to the point where we can start the B, the fun build part. And you could be starting from a data layer. You could be starting from an API layer. You could be starting from a code layer. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to treat steps 2 to 4 in an iterative manner, where we're able to learn and share and get an idea of what's happening. And then stage C is about saying, given the process we've been through over the last 4 to 5 weeks while we've been building this, let me try and collapse and aggregate this on one page for broader sharing. Let's actually try and bring together, from what the original idea was, what the technology was, let's just check the model. And then if we were to look at rolling this out more broadly, what does it mean? Picking up from the collective IP and the aggregation of learnings that we've actually got. And the key thing, which is probably really obvious, is we need to think about who the outcome hero is going to be and who the technology hero is going to be. In some cases, it could be the same person, but more than likely, the technology hero is someone who understands collaboration, communication, and change management. And they're doing this on behalf of the outcome hero and the actual different role they play through the process. And that is creating a minimal viable product with Oracle. We've talked about the AI, ML broader platform capability. How you can use it for fast learning and building, parallel learning and sharing with elements of fun and creativity. Okay, so I'm happy to open up for questions.
Hi, Franco. Excellent session. Thank you so much. Very informative. And do we have any questions from the public at this moment? I saw nothing yet in the chat. Just giving a few more time. And once again, Franco, Thank you so much for taking the time to share this with the community, the Asia Pac and global community, and on this Groundbreakers Virtual Tour 2021. And
thank you very
looks
much,
like it,
Francisco.
no problem. Looks like the public is a little bit shy today. And in that case, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact Franco using his email on the screen, franco.ucci@oracle.com. If you're watching this on the replays in the platform of the conference, please feel free to redirect any questions to the email on the screen. Thank you so much, Franco, and please take care and be safe.
Thank you, and likewise.
Have a wonderful day, everyone, night or morning, whatever you are around the world. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
CloudDB, shaping your new normal.